Hey guys, Lucas from Ikebukuro here, and today we're going to explore Ikebukuro on this beautiful sunny day. And to that end, I also have a new lens. Once again from Trucks, who have now sent me the fourth lens. This is a 50mm f1.8. So in terms of aperture, it's the same as the 24, 35, and 85 that I've reviewed on this channel so far, except it's a 50. Functionally, it's all the same. It has the same kind of aperture ring and all that. But I haven't tried this lens yet at all. I literally got it a few days ago, and this is my first time shooting with it. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so we'll explore this area. Just before we get started, of course, please check out our Patreon and the referral links in the description. Of course, this lens will also have a referral link if you're interested in it by the end of this video. All right, so let's get on to shooting.
I explore.
All right, so the first thing I want to shoot is actually right here in this crossing. In fact, there's a moment right here, because there's this beautiful sunlight creating these shadows on this crossing here. And to be honest, I should actually mention one important thing. This is my first 50mm lens in years. The last time I owned a 50 was like in 2013 or something, 2012. And then eventually I sold. I had like Nikon 50mm for my SLR. So it's kind of going to be a little bit peculiar to me to be on a 50 for street photography, because even this shot right away that I have before me here, it would feel better to shoot this on like a 35 or 28. I think I could do it on a 52, but it's not the immediate like go-to aperture, or sorry, focal length that I would choose for this shot. Okay, let's wait until the green light so people can cross. For now, I'll just kind of see what I can shoot without anybody there. I could mention my settings while I'm setting up for the shot. I'm on aperture mode, as I always am, with max ISO, with auto ISO, and a max ISO of 6400 and a minimum shutter speed of a 2/50th of a second, which right now is getting like, well, I'm not even near that minimum shutter speed because it's so bright out here. We'll keep going. Yeah, and the last thing about setting, well, you've probably seen the settings as the photos appeared on the screen, but I'm on f8. So f8's kind of my go-to aperture for these bright sunny days. Sometimes 11 works too, you know, but I feel like 8 is just right for what we're shooting right now. And then with the 50, of course, it's easier to get more kind of people-centered photos because you don't have to get so close, which is the kind of challenging, intimidating part of street photography for a lot of people, and me included, even now to some extent. Like, I'm less shy than I was when I started out, but still sometimes I'm a little bit shy. Let's see if I can shoot something here from this angle. I like this bicycle with this man sitting over there. The combination is kind of cool. And then over here, these guys are playing shogi, which is nice. But they're just finishing up. Just to get a photo of them. Yeah, that's cool. Too bad they're just wrapping up. They're playing shogi, which is Japanese chess, basically. It's a little bit different from chess, but very similar in concept. Don't ask me the rules. I don't know the rules in detail. Let's see where we're gonna go. Let's go this way through the square here, the plaza. So, you know, it'll be difficult to talk about like the sharpness of the lens and whatnot, because I can't really, you know, I can see what I can see on the screen here, but only so much, right? I haven't looked at these photos from this lens on the big screen yet. But, you know, in terms of the track record, all the other Trucks lenses I've used, they all turned out really sharp, and it seems to be really sharp as it is right here, you know, just looking at it on the back of the camera screen. Wow, it's really slippery here. So we had a snowfall in Tokyo for the first time in years, actually, I would say, last night, and I went out and shot some photos in the snow, but we didn't get a video, unfortunately. But today it's still quite slippery. So anyway, as I was saying, I cannot be sure how sharp it is, but it looks fairly sharp. I will try to find some locations where we could shoot wide open, even though it's a sunny day. If I don't die on this ice before we get there. I mean, look at that! I can literally slide. Like if I wiggle my feet, I can just slide along. It's actually quite precarious. You might be witnessing my last moments on Earth if things don't go well on the ice. Okay. Oh, let's see here. I mean, now that I think about it, we could just shoot some wide open shots just on the street here. We don't need to have a specific subject. That's something I used to do when I first got my, and I think this is what a lot of people do, when I first got my 40mm f2, I shot it on an f2 constantly. Daytime, nighttime, it didn't matter, because I just love the bokeh and the look of a wide open aperture with the nice amount of blur and whatnot. And also, when shooting directly into the sun, you can get interesting effects sometimes when you shoot wide open as well. Alright, whatever, let's keep going for now. Yeah. But as I always say in these review videos, I'm not a gear review channel. We don't do gear reviews at iExplore. I just have a cool lens and I'm gonna have fun with it, and we'll shoot what we shoot, and the photos will speak for themselves, and that's it, right? One thing I will say though, like just about the gear itself for a moment, is that it's almost exactly the same size as the 35, which is kind of cool. I sort of like that they're small and sort of consistent. So, you know, that's not a very important thing for me in terms of gear, but it's kind of neat to have the set of these lenses and that they go together nice. You know, the way that gear feels in your hands and the way you use it is part of the experience of photography. So it matters to some degree, right? And not as much as just the actual process does. So, let's see here. Looking around, there's something neat around here that I've shot before, but I don't know if the chance will be there right now. Oh, okay, there's a little bit. Let's check it out. We're gonna go this way, across the street here. Yeah, okay, cool. Shot this before recently, but I want to try it again with this lens. We'll see in a second. There's this sculpture here of owls, because Ikebukuro is kind of it's a pun, because the name Ikebukuro literally means, like the kanji in the name mean pond. Ike is pond, and then Fukuro is bag, so it's called pond bag, which is kind of a weird name for this place. I have no idea why that's the original name, but it just so happens that the word owl, Fukuro, is the same pronunciation as the Fukuro in Ikebukuro. So owls have become like the mascot of Ikebukuro, right? And so there's a sculpture here of owls, but what I like about it is that there are pigeons sitting on top of the owls, and that to me is kind of funny. So that's what we're going to shoot here. And with this light, this is what I noticed last week when I came by here and shot my previous photos. On the right time of day, it becomes like a silhouette, because that wall behind is extremely bright, and then the sculpture itself, you know, is quite dark in the shade. So there we are. I'm just trying to find an angle where I can see. Oh, that was cool. That one on top. I think maybe just from the middle here is actually best. I'm just gonna shoot this one. I just hope that pigeon does something again. But what I would love is for the pigeon to fly. That would be the moment. Which will probably happen while I'm chimping. I know I shouldn't be chimping. Oh, I forgot. I'm on f1.8 for all of these. So let's go back to f8 for this. I think this is the kind of shot where I don't want to be wide open, because I want to have everything really crisp and contrasty. And you know, losing awareness of my settings, that's something that that happens a lot when I'm talking about what I'm doing and like narrating my thought process, and I forgot to look at my settings. It's rare when I'm out shooting on my own, because I'm usually more, you know, mindful of the settings. All right, let's move on because they're just pigeons. Okay, and we'll go through this tunnel, which already might be interesting to shoot. And this is a place where I might do wide open now, 1.8, because it's dark in here. And to be really honest, if I was just shooting this on my own, I probably would keep it at f2.8, because I tend not to use my lenses, whatever their max aperture is, if it's 1.4, I tend to, or 2 or whatever, I tend to use like about one stop down. So this being a 1.8, I would probably use 2.8. Okay, let me see here. But for demonstration purposes today, because it's a review of the lens, I'm just shooting it wide open so we can see how things turn out. Let me just confirm here. Yeah, it seems to be in focus and sharp and everything. Nice. I did a very extreme composition of having lots of the wall, just a little bit of the person. Let's get a little closer. And this, by the way, is where I'm liking the 50mm focal length, because the tunnel is so long. So I have a lot of room. I come here often. I've passed by this tunnel a million times, and I usually have like a Ricoh, right? So like I'll have a 28mm equivalent lens, and it's quite wide. So of course you get a ton of the tunnel. Let's go back to the left side here. Oh, watch out, Axel. So you're going to be in the way of the bike. So yeah, it's good to be able to shoot it from farther away, because it looks really cool from far away. As you get closer, the effect sort of diminishes. Oh, here we go. But with a wide angle, if I'm far away, well, I get too much. The people are a little bit too small. So a 50 works really well actually for this tunnel. Depends what you're going for, of course. I mean, I can see, of course, a wide lens also working really well. Excellent. The question is it in focus? Because again, I'm at 1.8, but it looks pretty good. I'm going to do some on 2.8 now, just to, like I said, give myself that safety net. Do a couple more. So I'm just moved a little bit closer. Okay. Oh, I love his gait and the way he's walking. Let's keep going, because I think that's the best we're going to do. Get out of here. For scenes like this, it's very simple. I just like the textures and stuff. Can we get this kid? It's part of our scene. And see, this is where the 50 makes it tricky, because it's so narrow, but I got him. It's hard to tell because it's very hard to see on the screen right now, but we'll keep going. I'm just going to assume that was good and trust my ability there. See here. Cool. This is a cool street. Beautiful light in here right now. I've walked down this street many a time. I've never seen it like this, with the light coming directly down the street. Something about, it's not just about Tokyo specifically, but this latitude, I guess, and then this time of year. Oh man, this is beautiful. So hold on, before I go on my diatribe about latitude, I'm gonna shoot a couple of these wide open, and then a bunch on f8 like I normally do. So yeah, this like latitude where Tokyo is at this time of year, the sun even at noon never gets to noon. Like it's never straight from above. So you basically, in my opinion, you get like golden hour all day. So from morning to afternoon, the sun's low. It's kind of at an angle. It's not quite golden. I like to call it silver light. The color of the light to me is almost like silvery. It's very pure white and makes things very shiny. Not quite like a golden hour, right? And I love it. I love shooting in the winter. The daytime in Tokyo in the winter is just fantastic. All right, here we go. I like this space, this area. Lots of people walking by. And then these walls with these kind of shadows on them are what I'm looking for here. It's a funny coincidence too, because after we did the 35mm video a couple of weeks ago, I posted that. We got a couple comments. I think at least one or two people said, "Hey, you should do a video like this about a 50mm lens." And then like out of the blue, Viltrox was like, "Hey, you want to get the 50? Make a video?" I was like, "Sure, I'll take it." And here we are. And what I'm finding is that I'm not so used to 50. Like it's kind of tricky for me to use. I feel like I'm never quite as close as I usually want to be, because there's not a lot of room on Tokyo streets often. This is an exception where I'm standing right now. And on the other hand, I'm not like far, it's not long enough to do like telephoto stuff, you know, like 85 and up, which I'm also pretty comfortable with. So anyway, it's kind of an awkward focal length for me. It's not an indictment of the lens. The lens seems so far so good. Again, I got to review the photos later, but just looking at them on the screen, they look plenty sharp, plenty high quality. The lens works perfectly. I mean, everything's fine about it. It's just like I'm a little bit weird with the focal length. It's a little odd for me. Okay, yeah. See, this would have looked better to me if I was a little bit closer. Okay, let's keep going a little bit. Let's keep going. Axel was like walking into a bush for some reason, but you could have just went around it, bro. That was funny. Oh, here we go. Yeah, this is yeah, but see the background here sucks. So that's not that good. I kind of like how this guy's holding the little kitty. I like this wall as well. Let's see, for like the typical like wall shot, people going by in front of a wall, which is like your standard fare street photo sort of technique or trope. It doesn't quite work. I'm a little too close. And also the depth of field is shallower, so it's hard to get like the wall and the people sharp. Keep going. Well, there's kind of a neat shot over here. There's this cop car stopped and then shooting directly in the sun to create some nice flare. That might be cool. Flares are fun. Yeah, it's a cool effect. The lens does come with a hood, I should say, since I'm trying to be, you know, a review. I need to be clear about that kind of stuff. It comes with a hood, but I never use the hood. All the Viltrox lenses came with a hood. I never used them. I left the hood in the box because I like having sometimes some flair or some glow in my images, and it's, you know, it's part of the artistry of the whole thing. This is like my regular haunt. You know, I often walk up and down this street here, and some days it's better than others. You know, it just depends on how many people and who's out, the exact nature of the light, and so on. But it never gets old, because to me it's just about the experience. It's like going fishing, you know. You go, you might catch some fish, you might not. Either way, you're out fishing, which is the fun part. And that's why it's like, it's difficult for me to make a true to the bone review video, because I don't have enough like stock in the exact details of every piece of gear out there. You know, this lens, that lens, sharp or whatever. I care just about how you can use it. Oh, here's something cool that might actually work well with the 50. Speaking of how to use it, let me get a little closer. I'm gonna do a. Can I make it work? Nah, I'm too close. Like, there's not enough depth of field. I was gonna do like a Siegfried Hansen style line connection, but Yeah, I think it's, I mean, it might work here. That was tricky. Like I was more optimistic with getting it. I was trying to get the line of this pillar to line up with the line of the string back here and create a kind of funny, not funny, but you know, like making the line look like it's being extended. And that's something a very good photographer who I look up to in his work, named Sigfrid Hansen. He does that. That's a lot of his work. Not a lot, but he regularly will do this line extension concept. Very clever. That was my little shoddy attempt at an homage. So whatever. But it was worth a try. It was kind of interesting. Okay, let me see here. I think from here, let's go across the street this way. Maybe there's a little bit more sunlight we can get over there. I'm gonna go over here. Sometimes there's some sun, but it might be a little too late now. There's some sun hitting this wall over here, which makes it for a cool scene. But seems like not today. But still, maybe I can get a shot here. And I just realized something as I was checking those photos I just took a second ago. I left them on 1.8. I left the setting on 1.8. Again, after I did the police car, and then the extension of the line thing, and that would have been definitely better on f8 than 1.8 in terms of depth of field. So again, my head is not in the game 100% when I'm like grappling with gloves in winter. Yeah, I was saying how the light is great in winter, and it is, but I hate how I have to wear all these clothes. It makes getting into interesting positions harder. Could also be that honestly, the last few weeks I've been shooting with the Ricos a lot, and the Z has been sort of not in my hands, basically. So I'm like a little rusty with it, I suppose. It feels a little awkward to use it. All right, so what I want is somebody to come across this scene here with this little strange green box thing. That sort of makes sense. But I think I will not be so lucky today. That guy was kind of cool. Let's crank up the shutter speed to 500 for this, because people are walking past pretty quick. And I'll go to f5.6. Yeah, if you have the space, a 50 makes sense for this kind of shot, because you can get far back, and you can get a very interesting, or not very interesting, but like a simple composition. Well, I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, that was pretty good. Okay, I mean, I don't think I reinvented the wheel with the photos today, as always, but it was a fun little walk. Again, more of a preview than a review of the lens, because I haven't really shot with it until today, so I haven't checked the photos. I'll be checking them later tonight, I'm sure. But so far, seems so good. And as with all the other Viltrox lenses I've reviewed so far, it literally feels like the 35. It's the same, except it's 50. So solid lens, happy with it. But as I've always said, it really, for me, comes down to creativity and getting out there and shooting than the gear. So I'm not the best person to review gear, because it's not that important for me if it's this gear or that gear, as long as it gets the job done. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Of course, please check us out on Patreon. If you do like the lens, you're interested in it, check the referral link in the description and the other referral links that we have. And I'll catch you in the next video. And remember, always challenge your eye.